Oh, muted this entire time? Oh, that's fun. Thanks, Blair. Yeah, sorry, I guess I was muted. Anyway, what I was looking for is there's a major difference here between look at this, so this is a Nasdaq chart and look at the volume yesterday. It's again lower volume than the day before, so I'm not exactly sure which chart to believe here because when you look at our futures chart, it's a completely different chart than this chart. These 3 days here are each lower, these 3 days here are each higher. So that's right, Eli. I require flowers when I'm not feeling good. Exactly. But yeah, yesterday was pretty freaking brutal. I mean, Amazon was down quite considerably. Apple was down considerably. Um, look at Apple right there, pretty much gapping down to the 200-day moving average. Um, so that's pretty interesting action, I would have to say. So Apple at the 200-day is pretty rare. I guess we've been here in the past. A couple here down here at the 200-day. So like I said, the market can stop and turn around quickly. In terms of a larger bear market, it's definitely possible. We haven't necessarily moved super into new lows yet. Um, but yeah, I agree. There's no major strength yet. There's no major strength yet. Yeah, so living lower with another lower high also technically not a good thing. Um, in the range where you could put in a little mini inverted head and shoulders here, possibly. Although obviously it's difficult to call that. In stocks, it's a little more difficult than crypto. Crypto's just charts, and they just chart stocks. A little bit different. There's some behaviors and institutions to think about, especially in indexes. Indexes are so complex down here. Well, what about China, Eli? Like, what specifically like happens with China? I don't, like, is there a certain metric to look at? Is there a number, a report coming out? I'd be curious what the metric is. It's just hard to say exactly what that metric is. Let's Yeah, so the IBD chart. So they've got it under pressure. I think since they've we went back into a bull trend or -3, pretty much distribution day 2 out of the last several days. Um, if you look at the ES, which is the S&P 500, which are the two indexes that IBD looks at, everyone else too, follow through day. And yeah, so 2 distribution days in a row. So 2 out of 3 days have been distribution days. Remember we read earlier that, right after the follow through day, you want to make sure there's limited distribution days. 2 out of 3, not very limited. I will say this, though, is that the volume is declining through the sell-off. Same on the NASDAQ. Even though the volumes have been higher, whoops, that is one kind of positive, is that volume throughout here has generally been declining. Now, if you take this out and line up those two highs, this projects as possibly going out much further. Um, so, while volume yesterday was high relative, it was low to the majority of the sell-off. We'll have to see if it's hopefully just a one-time thing. But again, with leading stocks like Apple living in recent lows, it's not super encouraging. It doesn't mean you take any drastic moves necessarily. If you did take triple Q positions and you want to lighten up, I can't blame you. I was thinking about that yesterday towards the end of the stream there. I ended up not doing anything. Darn it. I ended up not doing anything. Just kind of hanging out. And so we waited for a follow-through day. Now we're waiting to see if we go back into a correction so soon after follow-through day. Probably be good to do some research and in the past and see what quick follow-through day failures have looked like, and what are the macroeconomic I guess triggers for such things, and if we have any parallels to today. Maybe do some research to see if we could go into a more prolonged bear market for a longer period of time, and I think that could be something prudent to do. Yeah, maybe. It's weird, man. Like in the mornings, right now I don't feel bad. My voice probably sounds worse than I am. Like my body doesn't feel bad, but towards like about 5-6 hours from now, I'll start to feel a little bit better. It's just in the mornings when I'm really kind of low. So, but yeah, today market popping up a little bit, which isn't the worst thing in the world. That it's not ratcheting higher as we've seen. When the market tends to gap up, it tends to sell off. So we'll have to see if they're trying to keep. Hold on. Oh, my metabolism cycles. Interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. Hold on. All right, thank you. Is there a chart for that I can look at? Yeah, I'd like to chart my feelings for the next 12 hours. That'd be great. That's kind of a joke. Kind of not, though, but kind of a joke. my sickness, my feelings have a bear flag. I like it. I was really hoping for more of a declining wedge. Base and double down on. I like it. Market's open about 4 minutes. Let's see if there's any pre-market movers today. We haven't done that yet. That's the wrong list. AXTI, SVT, GLBS, Barry at 20%. Viking. What about negative side? Cron down 7. Let's look at some of those. Let's look at some of those. Okay, ATX. I got a few minutes. We'll go through some of these. Come back if any look interesting. None so far. CON, nope. Nope. That one's not bad. Yeah, it took about a whole minute. DXR was the only one that looked half interesting to me. Pop up here on volume, basing, another little pop, small consolidation. Possibly breaking out there, but that's very low float coin, 19,000 average shares traded is well below the 400,000 recommended. So Even over on the right side, getting to 200,000 average versus, again, the 400,000 recommended to be a normalish float stock. Seeing the weekly there, pretty flat, unable to get over $10. So hopefully that can. I don't care what it does. EVER. These are the ones that are down. Dr. Pepper's down. KD down 12% to $25. Oh look, so KDP came. Its price was -40. Then it went to 0, and then currently it's at 28. So that's very good price reaction. I've always found that when a stock goes from a negative price to a positive price, it's positive. YGYA. Eastman Kodak is failing? Who would have thought that? Thinking in the 70s this was a $1 billion stock, now at 366. Omicron, EB, HCHC, Yang Yard, NMRK. Oh, they have the Chinese New Year, Christmas today or something like that. All right, nothing's really doing here, guys. Market will open in about 45 seconds. I'll be right back. All right, market open. All right, we're up 0.6%. We're back into a bull market, guys. That's about it. Just super bull market, just right now. Just it's never going lower again. Up forever. All right, 0.75. So it's really interesting how all these moves every day feel really huge, and then when you look back at history, you see how pretty much everything gets fully retraced. There's only these little sections that don't get completely retraced. That's right here at the very top, and then between this high and this high, but even these levels were tested twice. It's like these levels are always tested multiple times. So I always find that interesting. I've thought of doing some kind of a strategy where around that principle that every level gets retested, you can try to develop a strategy, take a trade or something like that. It'll probably have to be something automated, but I always find that fairly, even during these volatile situations, you can see that pretty much every price, even if for a fleeting moment, is retested, and there's always orders there. I always find that there's very few like this one and done. So actually this technically is not even correct. So even this, only these prices, and very few of them. So a few in here weren't retested, and then none in here. If you look here, that line. So pretty much this line's actually disingenuous. Looks like pretty much right there. The only prices that weren't retested at least once were like right there. So even through all this garbage and as big as this red candle and ominous as it looks on a chart, it'll all be retested. So moving up to 1% now. see what's moving. Go through some charts here. We got Auto Home. Some Chinese names. Looks like they're at the top here. Bida, Huya. Still not crossing our trend line right there quite yet. Still quite a bit of distribution. Looks like after earnings, which were yesterday. Vips, another Chinese name. Whoop. ZTO. Jumping around a lot here, so it's hard to get a beat on exactly what I'm clicking on. But Biomed, ZTO. XOAN, Carvana. Almost C-Trip. So, nothing is super good yet. Let's look at the big ones. Apple and Amazon. Apple 0.25%. Amazon up about 1%. So after the move yesterday, a retracement, which is fairly normalized. But yeah, remember even after this big down day, remember even that basically fully retraced about 90+% of that day's move. So even on these extreme low days, you buy, and this would be a short-term trading strategy, you buy these for like maybe halfway up the bar, and then it gets retraced like the next day or within a couple of days, it looks like, and I think that could be an interesting strategy after you have a large down day, is to buy it and kind of wait for the up day. Now this one obviously wouldn't have worked, this first one. Maybe not this one, but that wasn't a huge day. This was 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 a pretty big day. Now I mentioned earlier the volume was subsiding in the sell-off so far. You see also the range of the bar getting smaller as well. Hopefully this trend can continue. So there's that first big sell-off day. I think we've done something similar to that in the past. Looking at that day, pretty much the full day. That day went a little extended, went bigger than that day. This day much smaller than these previous 3 days, which had about the same. This is this day. This is a little bit smaller. This is a little bit bigger. And then this one, quite a bit smaller. About 75% of the breadth of these previous days. So, we do still have some selling to do, it looks like. But hopefully, if we keep volume declining, we have more days below average volume, then we'll continue with this nice sideways action. We looked yesterday at some market and some follow-through day stuff, and we saw a nice correction that kind of meandered out sideways like this for a while before finally jumping back up, or not jumping up, but moving back up. I believe that would be our ideal situation right now. U.S. economy is pretty good. We got the best result out of the election in terms of a mixed Congress. So, we just do what we can do. And so I think that's what we can take away from this. I think that's at least what I'm taking away from this, which is why I'm really not doing any trading, is just because as this continues meandering on, which is going to, there's 220 trading days in a year, I think is what it is, and 120 of those are going to be up, 100 of those are going to be down, and we don't get to choose which one's which. We just kind of have to play with the market, take the cycles we're given, take the signals that we're given, and go from there. So, yeah. So today looks like so far up 1.1%, and I don't know about today, Blair. Maybe not. I've got a lot of stuff to work on. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know though. Be honest with you, I don't really have a. Yeah, well, I wanted to be there on a follow-through day, which is why I was there on the follow-through day. That's kind of what started that. Was out yesterday, and it's probably why I don't feel very good today. My dad's in town. He comes down once a year, so we took the kids to the zoo. Luckily, weather was out. or nice. Weather was nice. But yeah, and then yeah. So I don't know. I can't say if I'll be out for a stream today or not. I got a lot of work to do on Real Crypto site, doing some updates to the Power Hour with the newsletter and everything. Going to figure out a structure to that and do all. So there's quite a bit to do there. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if where I am. I may not even. Yeah, actually, I probably will be here at about 2:30. I should be here. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Maybe I'll stream for a little bit. Hold on a minute, guys. All right, I'm back. Yeah, like I said, never going back down again, guys. Now up 1.25%. Already taken back half of yesterday's loss. And, we'll fully retrace this, and we'll see if we end up dropping lower again after today, or if it even drops down before today. We'll have to wait and see there. But Amazon up 1.48%. Let's check out Apple again. 0.3% down or up. 0.3% up. So yeah, we're still having higher volume down days, lower volume up days generally. So we'll chop around for a while. Like I said, hopefully don't go too much lower. We've seen Apple, even in those recent past, we looked here at the Apple poking under these moving averages considerably, and we're at about that range. And we have this longer term trend line here in Apple. Let's go to the weekly chart and look at some of those longer term trend lines. Hopefully my 4-0 doesn't wake up here and max available. Okay, cool. So if we look at some of these longer uptrends for Apple, you know what I find interesting about Apple? Look at all these freaking volume bars up here. Everyone bought Apple down here at $0, and then no one's still right today. No one's selling it. Anytime I look at these really long-term charts, I like to look at these volumes. And I think Apple's even split once or twice, which may account for some of these high spikes, because I don't necessarily think that they adjust the volume when they do the stock splits. I'm not sure on that, but that would account. So I think that's a stock. Anyway, we're going to look at trend lines. Let's go look at some trend lines. Like for Apple, here's kind of a first long-term trend line with a little parabolic move there. I remember these very well. And another high came lower. We thought Apple was done at this stage of the game after having just a really crazy move. Undercut this trend line, then just went kind of sideways. This one we have a long-term trend line as well. It does go on to undercut this one. No immediate parabolic run like here, or like what we have next. We do have a little parabolic run here, but we do have a much longer drawdown. So if you imagine this one took, give or take 2 years. This one, give or take 2 years. I wonder, if we're in for a 2-year correction in Apple here. You never know. Never do know. But there's a couple immediate with some more aggressive runs. Yeah, absolutely. With an aggressive run there. And you have a much longer aggressive run here. And then here we have a much more vertical aggressive run. Right there. And you see it chops around the triangle for a bit and then goes sideways. Goes sideways for a bit, and then there's your reload period. So this would be the right side. This would not be a cup with handle, and then this would be probably a double bottom. I don't remember what exact base that this one put in here. So there's a cup with handle right there. Cup, that one. A lot of times what I look for is a gap in the chart and a red week, and that's a cup with handle on the weekly chart. So there's a cup with handle. There's your go signal, and there it goes. So when you get to the bottoms like this, when you get these weird consolidations like this, which you may be forming in Apple, you know, forming the cup with handle or a double bottom can be pretty good. And this could be considered a double bottom between these two lows, and this would be your buy point in that stage of the game. Come on. That'd be your buy point. Probably would have shaken you out here, but you would have had the cup and handle buy point to re-enter on right there. So yeah, going back through the charts on Apple here, definitely has a history of these big, semi-parabolic moves, and it pulls back, and then it bases and then continues on for a few more years. So as long as Apple's still in vogue, we'll have to see if they are in another year and a half. Odds are they will be. Best Buy. So yeah, Best Buy on the daily here, not looking super good. Earnings are coming up. There's not much to do until earnings anyways. That's coming up in about a week. So I don't like it though. It's already made 3 new lows here. 1, 2, 3 new lows. Lower high here between those two, under the 50 and the 200 day. That's technically the death cross, the 50 cutting under the 200 day. So usually when you see the 50 undercutting the 200 day, it takes a while for things to start to return. It doesn't always work out that way, and we're going to get the death cross here on the indexes. Looks like in the next couple of weeks, if things don't really shore up. Now, again, we haven't really tested the 50-day. I mean, we kind of have in these two pops, but not really. So it's hard to say if that is to be considered an actual test, but we know we failed the 200-day here at least once. Broke through the 200-day definitively here, tested it maybe 1, maybe 2 times, if you want to call that a test, which I guess you could. And then another test again, but in which case this would have been an opportunity to short. I didn't really notice that the other day. Hold on a minute. All right. Yeah, so Best Buy on the daily chart here. Whoops. Oh, there we go. For some reason I want big charts today. Don't know why. There we go. Okay, so yeah, today looks like a nice reversal day. We see a nice reversal day here as well. This was kind of not necessarily a hanging man, but something similar to that, where the open and the close are towards the top. This is a little low for that, but either way, it was a full reversal on the day. Big down day here. That's a huge sell-off day. You see the rising and the volume declining, especially on the green days, right there, and then the bounce today. Like I said, a week before earnings, So this 67 level, give or take, there's no definite number here. The 67 level, which appears to have been support so far, we've broken that, and this probably will act as resistance going forward. Kind of the way it looks like here. You got to close here at 60, or the low at 67 here. Failure to close below 67 here. Failure to close below 67 here. So it looks like there was some support here, and now we've broken that support, and we'll see if that 67 level remains resistance at this stage in the game. But with earnings a week away, really anything can happen, and it's very difficult to enter positions ahead of earnings unless you're going for very small, shorter-term trades, like a couple of days. We talked about things generally can retrace here, and that's a possibility here as well. You see all this area is basically retraced, except for a few key point, which is the breakdown area here. And we'll see if we have a similar thing with this breakdown area. Maybe we don't get fully retraced in that, in which case there's not a lot of buffer here. If earnings aren't really what they're supposed to be. Now, retail has been fairly hot lately. I haven't really dug into Best Buy story to see why or why not it would be a healthy stock or not. But the moving average is doing what they're doing. And right now they're basically starting to chop around each other. So at a minimum, it's going to be very volatile. I wouldn't want to pick a bottom here. I'd actually wait for a setup on Best Buy. Unless you like really follow this stock, I wouldn't play games here, just to be honest with you. So that's kind of what I think about Best Buy. All right, let's take a peek at let's go ahead and go through the top stocks and the bottom stocks real quick. So Auto Home at the top today. Huya had earnings, so that's out of the way. And what are we doing so far today? We're not selling off. That's not super bad for Huya, especially on negative 35 earnings. I'm not sure how that relates. So they were at 6 cents here, and they didn't record the earnings there, or something like that. There's your daily. So coming all the way back down to the IPO of 15.25, it looks like. Currently at $20, so pretty low. Got up to $50. For those of you, this could be a potential bottoming. There's nothing major here saying it has bottomed. But if you want to take a little bit of a bet, Huya was pretty explosive, but maybe a mini reversal pattern and an inverted head and shoulders right there actually, and then you would have a trend line like so to be broken. So some elevated volume here, no major price progression lower. Volume really good today so far. You can see we're already at average volume, almost to yesterday's volume, and we're only 20 minutes into the trading day. Maybe could get some more momentum, so keep an eye on Huya if you're interested. Here, coming down to the 200-day after an earnings quasi-miss, I guess you could call it that. But no major sell-off implied, which is really good. I think in whatever time frame it wants to, here will reverse higher at some point. NVGS, we had this triangle, drew this I think last week. Still stuck in the middle of it. Looks like we had a little shakeout, and we'll see where that goes. There's BITA, XON. I had an alert level on XON, and I think that was before their earnings meltdown. Don't remember exactly when I put that level on, but when did I put that level on? Whoops. Yeah, I think that's what I saw. So I put the alert over that high, and then everyone above the high. IQ's next up. Another full retracement, similar industry with Huya. So no major selling here. So there's that. Look at that big red day. And look, it's hard to see right there, but look at that price action. Kind of a mini doji on massive volume. That could print the low. Could, price action real time like this is always scary, especially on a stock that's Chinese and you don't have tremendous amount of data on it, but could be some bottoming action. They're similar to Huya, but there's IQ. We got CMCM. C-Trip rolling over. THO, nothing interesting there. CRISPR, not really interesting. What are you looking at, Eli? You're always looking at something, buddy. GHDX is one that we looked at, and then it popped on earnings. Oh, wow, quite a bit of distribution right there after that green pop. Really failed to get lower than the gap day, though. So there's definitely a little bit of some support there. Some support, I can't say it's necessarily going to go higher and bounce off of that support, but just looking at the chart, there is some support there. Quite a bit of elevated volume up here, though. I'm not sure. It looks like they're just eating it. I guess that's what they're doing. I'm not sure the market cap on this particular name. Maybe it's low enough where an institution that really likes it thinks there's some value there, can really just eat, like I said, eat it. So market cap is just under $3 billion, so it's relatively small. Could do some eating there, and you're only talking about 1 million shares on these high days, so you're looking at $82 million worth of stock, or if you're on the other half of that trade, $40 million. So if you want to if you're a big institution, want to take a good sized position in Genomic Health, let's look at the FinViz numbers on this one since I got it. If you're interested in this one, you've got EPS quarter over quarter, triple digits, gross margin 83%, which is ridiculous. Profit margin is negative, so they got some work to do on that one. 93% of institutional ownership. Not a big short float. So there's maybe a possibility here. But I forget the article what that was about. But GHDX was positive on GHDX. I believe they're going after a smaller, more targeted market segment for some of their therapies, I believe is what it is. So Eli's got some of his names here. Was looking at his Etsy, but now he doesn't like it. Let's go. Let's look at the carnage. That's actually pulling back in lower volume. I'm not super mad at it. I don't really want to buy it right now, but a failed breakout, nonetheless, is usually not a great thing. But it's kind of an interesting volume pattern. This is the breakout day on a bit lower volume than the previous day. Then you have these red days which look ominous, but the volume is relatively small. So could be a situation where it'll put in some bottoming formation and start to get higher. Well, this wasn't support, Eli. This was a breakthrough that wasn't necessarily support. Support would be like down here on the gap day, or maybe above these highs, but a breakout failure is, someone looking to sell some stock as it goes over a level. That's a breakout failure. If it went up maybe more towards 60, 62 or 63, then came back down, then I would consider that as support. Yeah, new support. So you are correct. New support did fail. Yeah, correct. But I think it failed to really go through enough. And so, like I was saying, you have all the volume down lower, which indicates that maybe there's a lower level that they're looking at. Maybe instead your support is, around this level, which is weird. I get it. But maybe down here's your support with these lows, and there's also a pivot point there with these highs. Maybe this is your pivot point. But no, I definitely understand what you're saying. Yeah, for sure, it is a failed breakout. Anytime they poke their head up and down, it's called I call it a failed breakout. But doesn't mean that it's done. Continue watching it. Like I said, the sell volume isn't super aggressive compared to all the buying that went on right there. So it makes sense that your support would be where the buying started. So if you're an institution, you put in a couple of $100 million, and then you stop buying it. It comes back lower. You buy some again. You buy some again. You buy some again, and then before you know it, you're at $60. Anyway, something interesting there, but yeah, definitely failed that new breakout. You're also looking at Garmin. Garmin on that longer term trend line. Quite a bit of oscillation right there. Up, down. Now we're consolidating up higher. Looking pretty decent today. Volume is very, very low today. Only 40,000 traded out of yesterday was 730,000 traded. So very weak volume today. And we see the market selling off. See the I got the TQs already at the low of the day, or near the low of the day. The Qs selling off right there. The SPY selling off as well. DJX, which would be the Dow Jones. After a gap there, sell off there. Really failure to get higher here today. Open lower, barely went higher, and so far settling lower. So best bet today probably is just a little middle day, which would be a pause for probably further downside action. But yeah, this low volume indicative of the general just pause in the market today. So far, I mean, only 30 minutes. One 30-minute session of 13 30-minute sessions of the day today, so I don't have the full story today. But a general decline in Garmin here could be healthy. A break of maybe this high or this high could get interesting in Garmin again. Whoops. But yeah, kind of slowly stair-stepping higher on the weekly there. And then you said Walmart's kind of the best looking one out there. Oh yeah, man, Walmart just broke out of that. Looks like just kind of marched higher here. Yeah, looks really good. I think a pullback buy in Walmart would be nice. Here's a little bit of a pullback buy over the past couple of days. Maybe his retail is coming back a little bit. Not too bad. A bounce off the 10-day moving average, which is the closest to the price action. Could be healthy right there. You see it's respected it. So far in the breakout, 1, 2, 3 attempts of breaking the 10-day so far have failed. And so buying close to the 10-day could be a way to go. Yeah, come back next week, Eli. Yeah, I agree. It's a little difficult to do much here. Cash is king. But it's also good to keep an eye on what's moving and what's not moving, even if you're not doing any action. Oh, okay, going to be in Chicago since Thursday. That's cool. Are you just jumping skyscrapers from New York into Chicago? Is there like a elevated escalator? Just gonna go float across the Midwest there. What, so it's kind of like we're basically doing a hyperloop from One World Trade over to the Sears Tower, and then there's gonna be a fireman's pole that goes all the way down. That's my idea. Come on, Eli. If you could take a hyperloop from One World Trade to the Sears Tower, you would do it. Actually, I don't think it's called the Sears Tower anymore, is it? It's called the Central District Court of Bankruptcy Tower, because they're done. Sears is bankrupt. Trying to find anything that looks potentially half-ass stable. Charter looks half-ass stable. Exactly. Of course you would take it. I'm going to spend my last $17 billion building it, and I'm going to charge $5 a ticket. So it's a hyperloop, so get there in like 27 minutes. It'd be great. Oh, what's PKG up to? Dead cat bouncing off of that very long-term support right there. Man, talk about a breakout that never worked right there, huh? Could have had a good move to the top of that thing. Top of that structure right there, but not much after that. Just boom, just failed. Yeah, actually, I just read an article that Warren Buffett's got way too much money, doesn't know what to do with it. Maybe he'll put some money to work here recently and bottom out the market. Whenever Warren Buffett buys something, the market bounces. I guess it means we've gone too far. If we gave Warren Buffett something to buy, we've gone too far with the selling. PM is stable. Let's take a look at PM. Lung cancer is always stable. Looks good. Oh, absolutely. We'll find the 50 billion a month is good. That's all it is, 50 billion a month. Cron. Let's go through the. We didn't go through the ones that are low. Cron, ARMN. Oh, bye ARMN, AMRN, as I always pronounce you wrong. It was nice knowing you. It's interesting though. Look at that day. Even that day on the high volume is closes in the top 75% of the range. So we'll see how that works out in the future there. Couldn't even hold that one up. It's just weak. Weak. WLL continuing lower. No bottom there. TDD, TTD. Fizz, which was looking interesting over that level. Doesn't look like it wants to get over that level. Candles don't work. What candles? AMRN? Ooh, Funko down 3%. Ooh, Funko bear flagging out. If Funko is failing, you know the rest of the market's just garbage right now. And we're almost negative on the day here, guys. Almost negative. In fact, negative on the Dow Jones, negative on the SPY. Oh, slightly positive on the SPY. Look at the Qs are slightly positive. Futures are negative. Of course, the futures have different openings and closings, but yeah, so far quite a bit of distribution. I mean, even on the up days here, it feels like we kind of struggled to get up here. We had some massive up days in some of these stocks. I mean, we were looking at leaderboards up here. Remember one day, I think we had like 5 or 10 stocks up over 10%, which is insane. And then now just to flip it and pretty much erase it all. Not very good. Not very good here today. So wiped away a 1.5% gain relatively quickly. Yeah, exactly. The good old days. So let's look at the oscillation we've already had on the 5-minute chart. We had a pretty good open right there. Then we had increasing volume in the rollover. Selling candle here. Bottoming candle on elevated volume. We'll see if that can be the low. I don't know about that though. Look at this burgeoning baby green candle. I feel like I'm watching a flower trying to emerge from its cocoon. It's my National Geographic references. Watch the volume bar there and this 5-minute bar just grow. Hold on, I'm going to blow my nose real quick. Oh, and our baby flower got squashed by a baby elephant, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, baby elephant stepped off the flower. Now it's a baby flower again. Either way there. Yeah, still waiting for some of that good sideways action we were hoping for last week. Haven't quite gotten that. We haven't. Remember we were discussing the potential for it to rest above the 200-day moving average. Did not happen. We got no resting above the 200-day. Instead, it looks like we're going to rest below the 200-day moving average, which isn't necessarily what I want to see. But we don't always get what we want to see, do we? What's Sen doing these days after your crazy your crazy life, Send. All right, let's look at some fan favorites, guys. Go ahead and look at, we got SendGrid, we got Square. Let's look at Square. What are you doing? Consolidating under the 50-day. And so far above the 200-day. Another test of the 50-day on Square. Technically could be a shorting signal. PayPal, competitor to Square, living above the 200-day. Moving average is converging right there. Holding up better than Square a little bit. Yeah, definitely holding up a little bit better. We got Tesla. Looked like it was pulling back some. Looks like a pretty decent down day yesterday. Volume was under average. Nothing major to do there. What else is a fan favorite? What do we like looking at? I'm not a fan of stocks like I used to be, except for Tesla. Used to have these little pet stocks that we would look at, and not so much these days. Am I consolidating under the 50-day? I think I'm chopping around the 50-day with declining volume, I think is what I'm doing. Hi, James. Hold on a moment. All right. Any squeaks will be my 4-year-old son. Just freshly woken up from a slumber. But yeah, Tesla's still looking pretty good up there. If you bought Tesla back at 250, congratulations when it was down there. I guess it only got down there a few times. Down. All right, guys, so I think I'm going to get out of here. But yeah, so market back up 0.75, just kind of vacillating here. Hopefully we can maintain some of these levels, and it's going to take a while. A lot of charts are broken at this stage in the game. It's going to take time for them to get healthy again. The distribution continues. So, all right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.